Hey everyone, my name is Nathan, also known as the Survivor Buff, and I'm here to talk to you about episode 4 of Survivor 50. The title of this episode was Knife to the Heart, and it was said by Christian Hubicki. This is his third episode title in 4 episodes. The only one he didn't get was the premiere, which was Epic Party, said by Mike White. According to IMDb, this is the lowest rated episode of Survivor of all time. I guess people weren't a big fan of Zac Brown. We open the episode coming back to Vaatu after their tribal council. Stephanie is pretty blindsided by Q going. Emily says something that I find pretty ironic. She says the tribal went well, but the strength and loyalty of the people she's working with is more important, and she pisses off pretty much all of her allies by the end of the episode. Angelina decides to tell the group that she brought her shot in the dark up to the vote with her. I think that's kind of a half measure. If you're even thinking about playing your shot in the dark, you have to either play it or say nothing about it, because you really don't want the people that you're voting with to think that you didn't trust them in that vote. Ozzy says that he wants Angelina gone to get closer to Mike and to gain Stephanie's trust. I understand that Mike and Ozzy know each other from the whole restaurant thing, but I don't really understand why he thinks that Mike White is just gonna stop working with other people if Angelina gets voted out. We head over to the Sela camp, but for some reason the lower third says Survivor 50 instead of Sela. I'm not sure if that's something that's happened in the season already, but that caught my attention. We get the scene of the Survivor talent show. Rizzo's Mickey Mouse was honestly pretty good. Charlie was pretty funny with this whole ivory tower thing, but I'm pretty sure there was some real emotion behind it. He seemed pretty upset. Charlie seems to be very fixated on Rizzo. He is so pissed at him, calling him his mortal enemy. One of them has to go, like next episode, right? Over at Kahlo, Aubrey is looking for her second, or first, immunity idol, because, she has one, but she didn't find one. It was really funny when Aubrey was getting pissed that Genevieve was calling for her. Aubrey called her the Ricola Man, yelling in the Alps. When Aubrey made this face, I was like, oh, she hates Genevieve. She, really, really does not like her. Genuinely does not like her. I bet Aubrey was so pissed watching this scene. This feud between Aubrey and Genevieve is really interesting to me, because they seem like really similar players, so you'd think that they would have a chance of working well together. But they're almost too similar. It's like both Genevieve and Aubrey know, well, eventually I'm gonna turn on this person. I can't work with them because they're way too similar to me. So them knowing that makes it so that they can't work with each other at all because they can't build that trust initially. Genevieve finds her second Billie Eilish boomerang idol. She has the great Dragon Slayer moment. We should have seen this coming. Genevieve literally tells us when she finds the first Billie Eilish boomerang idol that this is her first letter from Billie, implying that there's going to be more. At the time that didn't stick out to me, but it's funny how little things like that make a lot of sense in hindsight. Genevieve gives her Billie Eilish boomerang idol to Rizzo because she thinks that she can blindside him. All I'm gonna say is Billie Eilish better be at the finale or something, because so far, she has been in every episode of this season, and she has said nothing about Survivor at all. Now, it's time to talk about the Zac Brown Reward and Immunity Challenge. Honestly, I think Colby and Dee were the only real fans of Zac Brown there, and that's why we saw so much of Dee during those segments. It was just very confusing to me altogether. If Zac Brown is such a big fan of Survivor, who paid who to be there? How did this happen?
Yippee-ki-yay.
Before we get into the actual Zac Brown reward, Sari on the sidelines of the immunity challenge says to herself, "We gonna be listening to country music." I don't think it means that much in terms of the edit, but it is the first time that Sari is shown being wrong in the season at all. However, I think that they might have just wanted to include shots of people wanting the reward because there might not have been that many of them. Kahlo wins the immunity challenge. Colby Donaldson was so jazzed about winning this immunity challenge.
Kahlo wins immunity and an afternoon at the sanctuary with Zac Brown. We're looking.
I haven't seen him this excited since he lost $1 million. I thought it was extremely funny in a kind of tragic way after the challenge ended and all of Vaatu is slowly crawling out from under the net with sad music. And with that, we head over to the sanctuary where Zac Brown things happen. I gotta say, it threw me for a bit of a loop hearing licensed music on Survivor. That was a bit strange. I was at least hoping for maybe a secret advantage or something, maybe in someone's wine or beer, but no. If I was a celebrity Survivor fan and I was doing a collaboration with them, I feel like I would want to impact the game in some way, not just cook and sing for people. I'm trying not to be super negative about this whole Zac Brown thing. This montage with Zac Brown and his confessionals was even worse than I was expecting. This is like what everybody hated about Edge of Extinction, except Zac was never even in the game to begin with. Also, what is that bazooka that he brought with him? Dude's got the Hawaiian Sling 9000. He's got a hydrodynamic Hawaiian Sling with port and starboard attachments and turbo drive. and he calls it spearfishing. Zac Brown loves doing it because he likes being able to interact with nature. And then Genevieve was like, well, I've never caught a fish that big. He had turbo drive. I'll just sum up the rest of the reward quickly. Snooze, snooze, food looked good, snooze. I personally think I would die knowing my reactions to this guy singing were being recorded and broadcast to millions of people. Also, how does Coach keep ending up at these rewards? First Jack and Jill, and now this. The only semblance of strategy we get from this segment is at the end when Colby says that now he can't worry and that, quote, now I have no qualms about playing this thing heads up, full tilt between here and the finish line to push the ball across. I'm not completely out on Colby being the winner or at least an important endgamer yet. This line gives me a little bit of hope for it. I kind of want to go back and see if there's anything that I missed. Back to reality at the Seela camp. Dee is shown crying about missing the reward. What she says here is interesting coming from a winner. She says that she doesn't want second place, she wants either everything or nothing. And from an edit perspective, so far she's been getting nothing, which it's only Zac Brown so far, pretty much. But I don't think Dee is going to win this season. I don't think this cast is going to let there be another two-time winner. Rizzo finds the idol in his bag. He says, quote, Riz God with an idol loves making noises at Tribal. I think this is very great for Rizzo's game. It would have kind of sucked if they went to Tribal and Rizzo was just kind of out without ever having an idol. I think this really gives him a chance at solidifying his place in this season. Even if he just does the exact same thing in 49 where he just keeps bluffing until it finally either bites him in the butt or gets him to the Final Four again. We spend the rest of the episode at Vaatu preparing for the vote. It starts with Stephanie and Emily deciding that they want to vote for Angelina. Ozzy's okay with that because again he wants Mike to have no one to trust but him. I don't know why he thinks that would work. Mike pushes back a bit against voting Angelina, says that she's not a threat and that she's a number for them. I thought it was a pretty great moment when Ozzy was like, cool, we're going Angelina, I'm gonna go spearfishing. He says, Zac Brown's going fishing, I'm going fishing. And then he says, I'm Ozzy and I got some skills too. The way I heard it was, I'm Ozzy, of course I'm gonna go spearfish instead of strategize. During this scene, there's a shot of Angelina, and she's like looking away, and then she glances at the camera, and then looks past the camera. A shot like that would have never been in the old era, because it would have broken the illusion that they're all stranded on an island together. I've really appreciated this season that they're kind of peeling back the curtain a little bit more, and showing that everyone's aware that they're on a show, that they're on an island playing a game. We don't have to pretend like there's this barrier here between player and audience. They did it here, they did it after Rick hid the fake idol, and there might have been some other times I'm missing too. I really like it. Mike talks to Stephanie about changing the vote to Emily. He says she's a cougar in the shape of a Ren Fair girl. I thought that was really funny. Mike decides to go to Angelina and Christian about voting Emily, but Christian in confessional does not want Emily to go. This is one of those moments where, in hindsight, it is so incredibly obvious that Mike White is going home this episode. Just take a look at this line.
What am I supposed to do?
Let's do this.
This is a big one.
If only there was some other way.
It directly cuts to Mike when he says, some other way. We get probably the most important scene of the episode when Mike and Christian are in the water together. When Mike said that he had to manipulate Christian, I was like, ooh, Mike might be in trouble. Manipulate's a pretty villainous word in the Survivor editing ethos. Mike brings up Christian's connection to Gabby and how he doesn't want it to happen to him again the same way with Emily. They showed the scene of Christian and Gabby playing in the sand, one of the best David and Goliath scenes. I thought it was a really interesting moment when Christian cries about Gabby in confessional, and he says it's the first time he's ever cried about it. Again, more personal, emotional content for Christian. Christian says a couple things about Mike here that really solidified what was going to happen. He says, Mike is terrifying when he wants to get you to do something. He knows where to hit you. Mike is the most dangerous person on this or any island. I was like, oh, he's so done. I think Mike taking this approach with Christian isn't the worst thing in the planet. I just think he needed to be a lot more subtle about it. From Christian's perspective, I think it's a little bit like, I kind of already pushed back against Emily, and now you pull this out about Gabby? Like, dude, that's pretty manipulative. Christian goes to Stephanie about this plan to get out Mike. I think in this scene, Christian's body language is so incredibly good. Christian's body language has been something that people have been talking about this season with the whole him and Joe scene where Christian's below him in the hammock and then he's rocking him in the hammock and everything. But in this scene, Christian says to Stephanie, so, here's a way to get Mike out. And then he leaves a long pause because he knows that Stephanie was not expecting to hear this from him. So he pauses, Stephanie's like walking with him, looking at the ground, waits for her to make eye contact with him, and like does not break eye contact for a second so that she knows that he's serious. And it's little things like that that can really boost your credibility with someone. Because if he was just staring at the ground the whole time that he said this, I think Stephanie would have been a little bit more hesitant about it. Christian says, you, me, and I get Emily flipping on board. So Christian sees Stephanie, Emily, and himself voting for Mike, Angelina and Mike voting for Emily, and Ozzy voting for Angelina, making a legendary 3-2-1 vote in the pre-merge.
Oh, indeed.
I laughed when Christian said that Ozzy was gunning for a White Lotus cameo, probably at least a little bit true. Emily has a confessional saying that she doesn't want to leave Ozzy out, but says that she only has one option at this point. And then listen to the way that she says this.
I have only one option at this point, which is vote for Mike.
Did you hear the way she said Mike at the end?
Vote for Mike.
It sounded like it was a Frankenbite, which is something that I haven't talked about on this channel yet, which is two separate sound bites combined together to make a different sentence. It's kind of a big issue in Australian Survivor. They do it a ton over there. There's been some pretty egregious examples in US Survivor too.
Kelly's on board. They want to vote you and Spencer out.
That one was a secret scene, but it was still published by Survivor, so... What confused me about this Frankenbite in particular, though, is that Emily is voting for Mike, so why would they have to cut together a fake confessional of her saying that? The film student part of me is saying that they just didn't have a clip of Emily saying that she was going to vote for Mike, and that they needed her to say that in the episode, so they just spliced one together. But then the Survivor superfan side of me is saying, they've been doing this for 50 seasons now. It's possible that they threw that in on purpose in order to throw us off a little bit, because they know that superfans are looking for Frankenbites like that. That might be a bit too cute, though. Next, Emily decides to immediately call Ozzy over and tell her that Mike was trying to get the vote on her. Christian's faces during this are fantastic. I heard a possible argument as to why Emily did this. I think it was from RHAP. They basically said that Emily did this and then immediately backed off when Christian reacted strongly in order to see if it was an actual plan from Christian. From what we've seen so far, it seems like Christian trusts Emily more than Emily trusts Christian. We see Christian seemingly flop between voting Emily and Mike, but I mean, come on, once the Mike plan was out there, there's no way he could go back on that, because Stephanie's just gonna go back and tell Mike White about everything if the plan doesn't go through. Christian then says that it's hard to play around a player like Emily. I think the Christian and Emily relationship is going to be a huge part of the season moving forward. I think this scene could either foreshadow Christian turning on Emily in the near future, or Christian keeping Emily around and it ruining his game later down the line. I think next episode is a very big inflection point for Christian's game too. He's had fantastic content up to this point, and now we get this big move from him that seemingly changes his game a lot. What happens next episode, I think, determines whether he's the winner or not. If he comes back to camp and people are upset at him and he's having trouble controlling things, no shot, I think Cerie's got this, or someone else, but my heart says Cerie. If he comes back to camp and he finds ways to do damage control and the edit shows him being in control again, I think he's going on to win the season and he's going to have that great final tribal moment with his son and everything. He's just gonna live in the stars. At Tribal Council, Mike calls himself a con artist in his own job. Christian notices. I think where Mike messed up is the part where he says there's a natural aspect to it. He started looking a little nervous throughout the rest of Tribal. When Emily says that she has a sinking feeling, Christian's just like, oh my god, please stop talking. I think it was smart because you don't want Mike to seem like Emily's too comfortable, but I think it might have been a little overkill. I don't know if it was necessary. It was funny, after Emily said that she had a sinking feeling, Angelina asks her, how are you feeling? And then there's a pause where Emily goes, that you go about this game thinking what, and then Christian's like, oh thank god, she's still in tribal metaphor mode, that these words mean nothing. Mike seemed pretty shocked about this blindside, but he was very polite about the whole thing. Part of me thinks he was kind of just shell-shocked, so he went out very politely. The other part of me thinks that his brain immediately switched back to, well, I'm not a Survivor player anymore, so I'm back to being someone that has to maintain my image. Ozzy is very upset about the way this vote went. Ozzy says, F that, and as they're walking out of Tribal, Christian says, I'll catch you up, but Ozzy says, too late. This is going to be very interesting setup for the next few episodes. If Ozzy and Cerie get back together and Ozzy tells Cerie everything that happened, I think Ozzy and Cerie can start building a little bit of a coalition against Christian and Emily and their people. Could be a very interesting post-merge. In the preview for next episode, both losing tribes are going to tribal. We had to get it moving eventually, I guess, with 24 people. Charlie says that he's gonna get Rizzo. Charlie's going home next episode, right? Rizzo literally says Operation Bad Blood at the end. Bad Blood, Taylor Swift, Charlie, I mean, come on. Also, there's like no chance that Vatu isn't one of the 2 tribes that goes to tribal, right? There's just no chance. Okay, I'm gonna call it now. If Sela goes to tribal, Charlie's going home. If Vatu goes to tribal, Ozzy's going home. And then if Kahlo loses, which I don't think they will, my guess is Genevieve. RHAP also mentioned that there's a chance this next week that Genevieve, somebody who found 2 idols, could be idled out by Aubrey, someone who found 0 idols. Which I don't know if that's the direction we want to take the show, but I've personally really enjoyed the Bebbies so far, so we will see. Thank you all so much for watching my recap of this week's Survivor episode. Which 2 tribes do you think are going to tribal next? Who do you think's going home from them? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.